Now at the moment mix 3 and mix 4 aren't going out of a physical output, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send 3 and 4, as well as being on this screen, I'm going to send them out of screen 2 as well. So they will now be coming out of screen 2. Now obviously we will probably want to set them to being something more sensible, like 1024, 768 or some sort of resolution like that. But for the purposes of right now, we're just going to leave them like this so that we get a proper idea of what's going on. Okay, some other things to look at is we might look at adding a live input. I don't have a camera connected. If I did have a camera connected, this is how we would do it. So we would go into the live input menu. We would choose our input. You could choose from a Phoenix HD SDI or SDI input, an active silicon LFG card input, a Firewire input, a Blackmagic intensity, or Decklink Extreme input. They would all appear in here. We could copy those inputs over to any of these boxes. Depending on the type of input card you have will depend on how many inputs you can have. You can go in via a normal DV Firewire camcorder, but you do risk the chance of having a lot of latency in your video. You could go in via a active silicon LFG4 card on composite, and that will give you 4 composite inputs. You could go in SDI on an active silicon Phoenix card input, and that will give you 2 SDI inputs or 1 HD SDI input. Or you could come in on a Blackmagic intensity card, which will give you 1 HDMI input, or a Decklink Extreme card, which will give you 1 SDI input. So let's just turn those back off because we don't have a camera installed. Let's add another layer on to here, and I'm going to show you another way of adding content to a layer, and that is to open up the libraries window here, and we did that by clicking on the libraries icon in the heads-up display there. So we can scroll through our files. Let's just make this a bit bigger. And there's a badger here, so what we would do is we can select which layer we want this to be on, and we actually want this to be on 4. So let's click on our badger, he appears there. Maybe actually we'll have a meerkat, and this is actually a much more visual way of doing it. But let's have our badger there, and we might just scale him down a bit, and we'll put him there, and we'll send him out to mix 4, and that's all very nice and good. We can choose a colour effect for our badger, so we might decide that actually let's make them black and white, or we might decide that actually we want to put them into hue, saturation, contrast, and this is where we could then on the layer play with a different hue, and we might want to pull the saturation down a touch. Maybe we a little bit less contrasty. And we could apply a visual effect to our badger. Select layer 4 again. So we can scroll through. We could choose a kaleidoscope, but that's not. There's various random flickers, various sound effects that relate to sound inputs. There's various crops and shutters that we could apply. So I think the visual effect I'd like to apply is a soft edged crop. So I'm going to choose Visual Effect 204 here. Click on that, and he's disappeared, but don't worry about that because all the shutters have just come in. So I'm just going to open these up using these keystone parameters here. There they go. Now I can select the amount of software here using the first parameter. Actually, that's pretty good. And I might just bring this in a bit here. That's the bottom one. Just bring a touch of him in. A little bit in over there. And that there. And then actually I might just reposition him over there. And so there's our badger with a little soft edged crop on him. Maybe that's a bit too soft. Maybe we'll pull that down to there, say. And so that's how easy it is to apply a visual effect. Maybe what we need to do is actually just rotate the badger like that. So we've got our look. This is our state. This is what we want to record. So the next tab on the libraries window is the presets. And this is where we would store the information for a layer. So if we enable them in edit mode, we come down to this line here and we can choose to snapshot a specific layer. We can choose to snapshot all the layers, and that will literally take all the information that's in the layer and put it into the preset. So let's select snapshot all layers, and you can see that's taken a snapshot of the current state of all the layers. Let's give it a name. Let's call it Badger Clouds.